If you're struggling with visual snow syndrome, I want you to take everything that you currently know about it, pretty much, and chuck it in the bin. And here's why. Okay, so I have struggled with visual snow in the past. About 4 years ago, I've overcome it. I would say I'm 100% recovered from obsessing about that. And I'm a therapist in Manchester, England, and I have lots of experience in working with people with panic disorder, OCD, anxiety, and there is a huge link between the two. Now, I want to propose that we stop even calling visual snow syndrome that. I now want to start referring it to obsessing about visual disturbances as a symptom of anxiety. Okay? So I want to explain visual snow syndrome using the model of sensorimotor OCD, which I'm going to post there. So for those of you who don't know, sensorimotor OCD is a kind of a theme of OCD where we can become hyperfixated on bodily sensations. Other presentations of that might look like people who become obsessed with their breathing and they can't stop thinking about that, or saliva in the mouth, or blinking and become really hyper aware of, oh my god, I can't stop thinking about my blinking, when will this go? People who experience this particular kind of OCD also often have health anxiety, the kind of people who might have a headache and then jump to that worst case scenario, oh my gosh, what if I have a brain tumour? So using this model of OCD, I want to explain how visual snow syndrome, as it's currently known as, can be perpetuated and become really quite debilitating, as can, all different subtypes of OCD. Okay, so looking at this model, here it talks about how the initial, almost like stage, is a hyperfixation on a bodily sensation. Now, what we know about panic and anxiety is that it can cause a whole range of different bodily sensations. For some people, they get a racing heart, some people get racing thoughts. For me, and if you're watching this, probably for you, your symptom will be, or one of your symptoms might be, a visual disturbance. Now, that can just happen as a result of adrenaline. It's nothing to be scared of. But for people with OCD, they will experience this symptom and then panic about it and hyperfixate on it, okay, rather than just letting it come and go on its own, as it would if you kind of learn to leave it alone. Okay, so the second stage is increased attention can actually intensify the sensation. So what this might look like is, I know for me when I was really struggling, I experienced a real kind of static vision and lots of other symptoms, but I'll just use this one as an example. Now for me, the more and more that I looked for the static and was like, is it still here? What is it like today? The more and more that I did that, the pixels got bigger and bigger and bigger. It was like I was staring at the pixels, and I couldn't see, at the worst of it, I couldn't make out the expressions in people's faces because the pixels were just so huge, and that was terrifying. Of course it was terrifying. And unfortunately, the more and more that I checked, the bigger and bigger the symptoms become, because I was flooding myself with more adrenaline and more panic. Of course if you think about somebody who has a racing heart, the more that they obsess about that, like, oh my god, my heart's racing, why isn't this stopping? Your heart is going to pick up speed. And it's the same with your visual disturbances. Okay, so then moving on to the next stage of this is that unfortunately we then take that sensation as a sign that something is wrong. So when we see the pixels, when we see the snow, when we see, the nighttime blindness, we see that as a sign, oh my gosh, something's terribly wrong. I'm going to go blind. I'm never going to be able to see properly again. This is going to ruin my life, etc., etc. Can you see how that then adds another layer of panic? Debilitating, absolutely debilitating. Now, the final stage is when we use compulsive behaviours. When we use compulsive behaviours to try to alleviate anxiety. So for those of you who understand OCD, you'll know that when we do a compulsion, it's a behaviour that we do to try and make ourselves feel a bit better. What that might look like is Googling our symptoms, reassurance seeking, asking your mum, oh, please tell me this is going to go away. Compulsive behaviours also look like taking safety things with you. Some people with visual snow, I remember for me, I had a lamp, and it was my visual snow lamp that I had to have with me at work. I actually asked them to buy me this special lamp because I believed I needed this really particular set of lighting so that, I don't know, my symptoms weren't as bad. I was trying to control it. Another one could be wearing sunglasses outside. And avoidance is another compulsion. So, for example, what that might look like is if you used to go on a night out on a Saturday night, and you say to your friends, whoa, I can't do this right now. That is a compulsion. Because you're trying to, like, avoid the sensation of seeing the snow, and you're just trying to control it, which unfortunately sends really strong messages to your brain. This is dangerous. And you can see how with all of these different stages, there's another layer of panic, and so on and so forth. Now, my way of working with people with visual snow and what my own recovery involved, and you'll see, you know, in the community, lots of people talk about recovery, but I must admit, a lot of it is met with disdain. I don't really understand what that's about. But yeah, I know a lot of people talk about recovery and they get shunned in the community. Not really sure what that's about, but I think that's really unhelpful. But yeah, the people who have, you know, recovered, they will have done something in line with this model. They will have cut out their compulsions, aka, you know, gone back to living their life as they did before the symptoms set in, gone back to work, started seeing their friends again, stopped wearing the sunglasses, stopped giving the visual snow the attention that it's looking for. And with this comes recovery. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to do this video just to kind of set out this model, this approach that I use when working with people with visual snow. It's how I've recovered, it's how I've got to where I am today. And for those of you who are interested, what my recovery looks like is, you know, I was flawed, absolutely flawed with this. If you look at some of my previous videos, I'll talk to you a little bit more about my experience of that, and what it was like for me when it first onset. Now, where I am today is that I do not notice my symptoms. I do not notice the static, the floaters, what else? The nighttime blindness, the what is it called? Like light sensitivity. You know, all of these different symptoms. I never notice them until I look for them. So like right now, because I'm talking about it, my attention has gone onto my visual snow. So right now, I can see static on white walls. I've just seen a floater go past my eye. I'm sure I'll notice some other symptoms, but that's because I'm paying them attention. The key to your recovery is to redirect your attention away from your symptoms and show your brain, these visual disturbances, they're not important, and I'm living my life anyway, thank you very much. That is also what recovery from OCD looks like, anxiety disorders, panic disorders, it's all one of the same. So this video, I hope it's been helpful. It's not clickbaity, it's never going to be clickbaity. I'm never going to do a video and be like, oh, follow me or come to work with me to find out the key answer to do blah, blah, blah. Like, if you want to work with me, cool, send me a message. But I'm also going to be doing more videos talking about my experience of visual snow, recovery, what it looks like, and stay tuned for more.